Earlier this year, I set a new 5-year goal for myself to save the medical device industry $1 billion by the year 2030. Now, I had just completed my 5-year goal. In 2019, when I took over as CEO of Seabrook Technology, I set out to double the revenue of the company completely organic, that is, without taking on any additional funding, and in fact, making the company completely debt-free by paying back all of the investors. And I achieved that goal. Despite COVID and other challenges, we got there. We used the cloud and software as a service to deliver manufacturing execution systems, or MES, to small to medium-sized manufacturers who previously could not afford it due to the high capital outlay that large enterprise companies could make. So now I look at the next phase of my life. I'll turn 40 this year and I'll have my first child in just a month or so. And I wanted to set a goal that was big but achievable. I wanted to look out into the world and to see what positive change I could affect on it. I wanted to help our customers to solve their challenges on a much larger scale. So I did some research into the market we serve. That is medical device and diagnostics, MDD, or med device. And I've been working in this industry for over 17 years at this point. So I know the pains they have and the challenges that they have to overcome. I know how frustrated they get because I share that frustration. It's a highly regulated industry which is very slow to change because it's very risk averse. So how can the medical device industry save $1 billion by 2030? Well, it turns out that's actually not a huge number for the industry. In fact, this year we expect the industry to surpass $500 billion in revenue. The margins are also not that high in the medical device industry. COGS, or cost of goods sold, is at around 41% on average for the industry, which gives about a 59% gross margin. You can compare that to the pharmaceutical industry, which has COGS of around 25.7%. So overall, the COGS, or the cost of goods sold, for the entire medical device industry is 41% of $500 billion, which is $205 billion. I'm only trying to save $1 billion out of $205 billion, which is less than 0.5% of the COGS of the entire industry. Now, the good news is that the system that we implement saves on average 3 to 5% of COGS. We could actually save the industry $10 billion if you look at the numbers, but we'll start at $1 billion over the next 5 years. So how do we save 3 to 5% of cost of goods sold? Well, most manufacturers in the medical device industry use paper to record the history of the devices they manufacture. These are called device history records, or DHRs. Sometimes they're called lot history records or batch records. Now, regulatory bodies across the world require medical manufacturers to keep a DHR of every device they manufacture. And that's understandable because these are devices like pacemakers, stents, dialysis machines, which are keeping people alive. So you understand the traceability requirement. But over 60% of medical manufacturers keep a paper device history record. No, paper is highly inefficient. Paper is slow, error prone. You get a lot of documentation errors. You get product quality issues because paper doesn't control the data that's being collected. It doesn't enforce process, and it doesn't scale well. And all of this leads to increased risk, product recalls, and even losing critical documents. And if you lose a document, you have to scrap product. So at the end of all the manufacturing that medical device manufacturers do, companies have to do a full review of the device history record. In fact, medical manufacturers spend twice the amount of time checking paperwork than the actual physical product. And what we do is we replace the paper-based process with a manufacturing execution system, or MES. And the device history record becomes an electronic device history record, or EDHR. What an MES does is track, trace, and enforce the 5 M's of manufacturing: mankind, machine, material, method, and measure. Mankind. We make sure it's the right person doing the right thing at the right time. If someone tries to work in a process that they are not trained to do or qualified to do, the system will stop them. Machine. We make sure the equipment is calibrated, maintained, and qualified for the process the operator is trying to run in it. If not, the system will stop them. Material. If we try to issue incorrect or expired material that is not on the bill of material or BOM for the product that's being manufactured, the system will stop it. Method. The product must follow the correct process and procedures. If not, the system will stop it. Measure. All product measurements must be collected and they must fall within specific limits. You can't miss a data collection. If not, the system will stop it. So it's going to be a long journey over the next 5 years to save the industry over $1 billion. But I invite you to follow me, to subscribe to this channel, and to join me on that journey.